that ball, I thought, oh, Cousins is having the game of a lifetime. And his teammate's wide open and drops it. They miss field goals. But both Baker and Kirk Cousins put on an absolute clinic in quarterback play.
I wanted to ask you about Baker Mayfield. He had an amazing first half. He was nearly perfect. 3 touchdowns. I think he had like a $130. And he threw for like 50 yards in the second half. What on earth happened to the Tampa Bay offense? What did they do at halftime? Hey, they score on every single drive in the first half, touchdown or field goal. Second half, crickets.
So it's interesting. So I heard the announcers say this. Herb Street and Al Michaels talked about this, is that Atlanta, because Raheem Morris is a defensive coach, Atlanta does not generate much of a pass rush in the first half of their game.
They had 0 pressures in the first half. Unbelievable.
All season. Was it all season or last night?
Last night for sure.
Okay. And they were talking about how they don't get a lot of pressure in the first half. So what they do is get pressure, better pressure in the second half. So that tells me as a defensive coach, Raheem Morris is one of those guys who tweak stuff at halftime. So they don't have a prodigious pass rush. They don't, Vita Vea, I'm watching him just bowl over people for Atlanta, and Atlanta's got a good offensive line. He just blows through it. So it's just one of those things where Atlanta didn't generate much of a pass rush. Baker was on his spot. In the second half, he did have a couple of nice scrambles. Baker's more athletic than people think. But, it was also, if you go look at how many times Baker threw the ball and what Kirk Cousins did, as good as Baker's night was, it was almost like half in terms of volume what Kirk Cousins was. And also, Kyle Pitts had some moments last night.
How about that guy showing up?
Now, Drake London, a USC kid, who was a great basketball player in high school. I can remember when USC signed him. My buddy Gavin said, this kid's unbelievable. He wasn't a 5-star guy. He's like, this guy's a first-round NFL receiver. He was like 17, 18. So he's really athletic, and Kirk Cousins and Drake London were humming last night.
And can you be honest with me? When Kirk throws the pick with like 2 minutes left on 4th and 15, were you like, oh, there's Kirk Cousins primetime showing up? Be honest.
No,
4th and 15, they failed. That's game over.
Because they had timeouts left. Okay. And also, you and I do the gambling stuff. We've been talking about this for 2 years. Kirk had a moment when standalone games, it wasn't his thing. But actually over the last 3 to 4 years, and this happens, by the way, again, Peyton Manning was really tight. I can remember Bill Polian telling me a story. He said that he called Peyton a teeth clencher. He was really detailed and regimented, and he hated long halftimes, Sunday night games. Well, Peyton became a star, and the Colts were on these Sunday night games. Peyton didn't like to get off his schedule because he was so detailed. I think it was Tony Dungy once told me, or Bill Polian, they had a family day on Saturdays. They liked family to show up for practice, and Peyton was like, we got to go through more run-throughs. So Kirk is, like Peyton, very regimented and very precise and detailed. And I think early in his career, he didn't like to, I'm guessing, get off his spot, get off his schedule. But eventually, Peyton broke through in the last 3 years. And also, the other thing is, when you throw 55 times, I've been on this for years, you get a pick. I've never been bothered. People used to bang on Andrew Luck. Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Andrew Luck. Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes are unique. Even Mahomes now has horrible picks weekly. I think people get way too caught up in interceptions. As long as it's not in the red zone or deep in your own territory, it's just a change of possession. You get we're not talking like the Will Levis situations where it got the game, give up the game. If you're at the 40-yard line, you throw it downfield and it's picked off at the 24-yard line, and especially if you have a good defense. So you don't want 2 a game, 3 a game, 4 a game. Mahomes is the best quarterback on the planet. He's thrown a stinker every week this year. Brady had a pick 6 in the Super Bowl. We both love Matt Stafford. He has some of the worst picks. He had one this past weekend at Chicago that was one of Matt Stafford's worst throws as a pro. It happens.
Yeah, I see Todd Bowles texting me, Jason, get Colin to mention the missed face mask late in the game that really killed us. No, I'm just kidding. But that was a bad missed call. You got to admit. I could see it on the TV.
Listen, if you look at pass interference over the course of a game, there has never been a game in league history where I can't argue on the other side of 3 to 4 PIs over the course of a game. So if a ref misses a hand in a face mask, you can go to games, you can go to every ball down the sideline with bumping. That stuff is a coin flip every time. TD Tutty in for 6 touchdowns. Matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. We don't carry a score 'em. They're touchdowns, and DraftKings Sportsbook's delivering. If you've never bet before, it's easy. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Takes you 90 seconds, 2 minutes. Put in the name Herd, H-E-R-D. All you have to do is bet $5, and you'll get $200 instantly in bonus bets. How's that? Download the app. The code is Herd. $5 becomes $200 instantly. DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/f.
Sooners, Baker Mayfield last night finished with 137 passer rating, had a remarkable first half. Only 5 incompletions all night. A lot of good scrambling, 3 touchdown passes. He's going to win a lot of games in Tampa. That's a good roster. They're going to win a lot of games this year. And they had that thing last night. It felt like sealed up for a while. 11 TDs, 2 picks on the season. Mike Evans is Hall of Fame stuff. So his mobility has gotten better, I think, this year than previous years. He's moving. He's lost a little weight, it looks like. He was feeling it, and he's a guy that really feeds off emotion. I don't think Baker, Geno, and Sam Darnold's a fluke. They're all first- or second-round picks. They're all good players. They're all well-traveled, so they dealt with different coordinators, different cultures, different coaches. I mean, the Kirk Cousins, who's better than Baker and Sam and Geno, but you bounce around the league a couple times. I mean, you start playing with different coordinators, different coaches, and you compartmentalize that stuff. So now Baker's got all those calluses, and he's always had the tools. He's got all that knowledge, and now he's got the tools. So, I mean, there's 2 quarterback classes that are winning in the NFL. Number 1 is the superstars, but they have skimpier supporting casts. And the second are really talented guys, Geno, Baker, and Sam Darnold, and they've got loaded wide receiver groups. In fact, I looked up this morning, if you go to Darnold, Baker, and Geno, the receivers they play with have 12 Pro Bowls and 9 All-Pros. They're Hall of Fame guys. Kansas City's been trying to figure out their wide receiver room for years. Okay. Baltimore finally has a good, not great wide receiver room. And Josh Allen, they had to move off Stephon Diggs. So there's 2 ways to win in this league consistently, and we're really seeing the second way this year, which is give a veteran, well-traveled guy that maybe not be Mahomes, isn't a Kirk Cousins, but is darn close, and on good nights is feeling it. And, you know, by the way, Baker smiled after the game at an Atlanta coach he knew very well. Give me a break, folks. When you've been rejected, when you've been demoted. This guy, Baker Mayfield, was behind P.J. Walker in Carolina at one point. Give me a break. Baker has earned the right to hug a coach, tell him, man, love you, man. You're one of the best guys I've ever worked with. I don't want to hear that bothers you. Here's Baker after.
All I care about is wins. That's it. So got to find a way to finish that game out on offense. Have to make the plays when they're there, and then in the second half, just got to take care of the football and then got to finish on offense.
Listen, I was hard on Baker to begin with. I totally supported Tampa. I said, you got to sign him. He's earned it. And the only reason we're not leading our show with Baker is because Kirk Cousins had one of the greatest standalone games in league history. So Baker was really good, and whatever it is, I don't know what it is, Pilates, I don't know. He feels more mobile to me the last couple of years than he was previously. Maybe he's just finally healthy. He got dinged up in Cleveland. Maybe he's finally healthy, but Baker's slinging it. Geno's slinging it. Darnold's slinging it. And they're all going to win a lot of games this year. J-Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
All right, you remember last week, Jordan Love down 28-0 to the Vikings. He ended up throwing the ball 54 times, Colin, in his first game back from an MCL injury. Love did set career highs in completions, attempts, passing yards, and touchdowns. LaFleur says the work was good for Love in his return.
It looks like he's just getting back into the groove. And like I mentioned the other day, I mean, not that we want to throw 50 some odd times in a game, but I thought the more we threw, the better he got.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to stay away from the Rams.
Same.
Packers, I'm going to stay away. I believe what we saw in the first half against the Vikings hasn't played enough yet against the great defensive coordinator. And the second half was, okay, Jordan's getting his reps. He's ready to go. My gut feeling is the Packers are going to come out here to Los Angeles, and you're going to see more of the second half Jordan Love. Now, Christian Watson is banged up. The young kid, I think it's Wicks, not playing particularly well. So the receiving core isn't quite what it needs to be, but a lot of this is he just did not get the reps. He's working his way into form. I think this is the last game where the Packers will feel a little vulnerable, and then I think they're going to get on their way and start reeling off winning streaks.
We'll see. Actually, Wicks was good. It was Romeo Doubs who he didn't do anything. Wicks had 2 touchdowns. He looks like he might be their number one now with Watson out.
Yes.
The Rams injury report is getting better, but I'm with you. I don't get this game. I do know the last time we saw the Packers on a fast surface was that Cowboys playoff game. And Jaden Reed in space is just, the Rams secondary is not very good.
It's not.
So I don't know what to do with this game, but I'm curious about the Packers defense, Colin. If Sam Darnold could carve them up,
well, he
what's
carved
Matt
them up.
Stafford gonna
He
do?
carved them up in the first half. A lot of that's on script. They got up to a huge lead.
No,
that was a tale of two
McVay
games.
and Stafford. Who has a coach quarterback advantage here?
Well, but remember, no Puka and Cooper Kupp. You had a Jordan Jefferson. Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was insane against Green Bay. Absolutely insane. So there's you're talking about now the Rams. Yeah, they're at home. That crowd will be 60-40 Packer fans.
Maybe more.
It could be 70-30 Packer fans. Yeah. And, Wisconsin travels for bowl games, and they travel for the Packers. So my take is don't compare Minnesota is one of the deepest offensive teams in this league. Remember before the season, we both said if they finish 4th, it will be the greatest offensive personnel in league history to finish 4th. And they're not going to finish 4th.
No.
So I think this is actually a low-scoring game. I don't see. It's Tutu Atwell's their go-to guy. Christian Watson's banged up. You're right. It is Romeo Doubs. The receiving core it just doesn't quite feel like it's there.